Today we're going to talk about my newest creation, which is a puzzle box. This is an experimental puzzle box that I created, my own design, based loosely on some other puzzle boxes that I own. It contains two locks, one of which I borrowed from another piece, but the other one I made myself. And it's the kind of lock that anybody could really make on their own. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. Pretty unassuming little box. 4 sides, lid, hardware, hinges on the back, a basic stained with some shellac finish. Open the hardware piece, doesn't open. So what are we missing here? Well, there's a lock inside. And the lock, as I said, was something that I modified based on another puzzle box that I own. It's a pretty common design. So take the piece, opens right up. Up at the top, there is a little closed hanger piece that goes back and forth, and it goes through this little box right here. Let's see if I can get, there we go. Through this box, there's a hole, connects through that, and that's what locks the box. Now the point of this is actually there's another lock in the box, and that's what I designed first. The lid lock I designed second. After I had completed the box, I wanted to make it difficult to get in, or at least a little difficult. So that was really an experimentation to see if I could get that work. But there's actually inside, this panel here actually reveals a secret compartment. And so we'll work on that next. So it works very similar, but it takes a little patience. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. So I've given this to a few fellow woodworkers and puzzle enthusiasts, and they agree that it takes a little bit of patience to get this. There it goes. And so what you have here, again, it uses the same principle of a thing going back and forth. This is lubricated with candle wax. Let's get a good, there we go. Well, this camera is not the greatest thing in the world, but you get the idea. This is a brass rod, fits inside of this wooden piece, and it goes back and forth. And within, here's the secret compartment. It catches inside these two pieces, these end pieces. And so if it's not all the way in the middle, it won't go because of this clasp down at the bottom. Let's pull the rod out. Because of the way this fits in here, you've got to have it absolutely apart, or else it won't come off. And also to note, there are 2 magnets on the top that connect 2 magnets on the piece, and so that way it just snugs in place. If the magnets were not there, it would probably flop over, and so we can't have that. So that's an important feature. The space inside is very small, very meager. This is actually based on a tea caddy, a picture of a tea caddy that I saw in a book. It shows something similar to this, but in that case, there's a drawer that comes out. And so that's something that could have been seen in the 18th and 19th century. For our purposes, this could be a jewelry box with a hidden compartment underneath. But remember, whatever you're putting in is going to be able to be rocked around. And, you know, because the top one's going to be moved this way, and the bottom one's going to be moved this way. And so it can't be glass or something really fragile. You want to have something that can take the abuse. Another thought, Hanayama Puzzles, for those who do Hanayama metal puzzles. I thought of sticking Hanayama metal puzzles in there, but that makes a lot of extra racket, a lot of movement around, And in getting this thing out, I don't know if it maybe, some of the loose pieces could get caught in the brass rod. And so that's something to keep in mind when storing things in the puzzle box. Some construction notes to consider for this. This is made of scraps left over from the T-chest project from another video. And so it's mainly 1/4-inch poplar. There's sort of an inner box inside. And then there's an outer box made of these mitered pieces, sort of these things right here. And I had to make a donkey's ear in order to make these outside pieces. A donkey's ear is a sort of a triangular mount that the wood is placed on, and then you use it in a shooting board with a Stanley No. 6 plane or some other plane that you have. And there's probably a picture of that as well. The piece is stained with a stain, 2 or 3 coats, and then finished with shellac, because it's only going to reside indoors, so it doesn't need to have any polyurethane or Danish oil or anything like that. Shellac is fine for my purposes. So as I mentioned, the puzzle box was completely my creation. I started working on it back in January, and completely experimental. And so it's not for sale, and I only made one. And I probably will make some other puzzle boxes, maybe the same size, maybe a little larger, not sure, as well as some of the puzzle cabinets that I make, which would be much larger, but also take up a lot of room. So that's something to consider. If there's interest in the build of this box, the process that I went through, some of the tools that I used, I can certainly make a video on that that shows the donkey's ear in use and some of the other components, tools that were used for that build of this particular puzzle box. And that is my puzzle box number 1.